Hello everybody, how are we doing out there? And I'm back. Here we are. She's back to make another video. Jesus, help her out. Well, just like, I don't even know if people like my videos. Probably not. I don't even know if people see my videos, but I like making videos every day. I guess you could call them kind of vlogs. It's always in my car. And it's always while I'm either driving to work or driving to this little town called Moore. I say it's a little town. It's not anymore. It used to be whenever I grew up there, but not anymore. What was I? I said I was going to fix my eyelash, number one. But I said that I was going to... I'm sorry, I'm out here looking at these crops. These are so cool. Make a video about my problems with addiction, and that's today's video. So hold on. So if you know me, then you know that I have been sober off of drugs for this August 10th to be exact, will be 8 years sober. I don't do drugs. I don't partake in drugs. Oh, God, I swear, you guys, the squirrels out here have, like... I don't know if it's because they just don't eat as much, because they're, like, rural squirrels, but their tails, like, the ones in the city, they have real thick, big, bushy tails. Like, really pretty tails. These ones out here, their tails are all mangy looking, kind of, I don't know, just not full... It's off topic. Like I was saying, I've been so clean and sober for almost 8 years now, and I was living a really crazy life. It all started whenever I was waiting tables. I worked at this Mexican restaurant as a waitress, and I was introduced to cocaine, and I'll just flat out say, cocaine's a hell of a drug, okay? Because it don't last long. You always need more of it. And if you have problems with going to the bathroom, I'm just saying. Okay. But it all started with cocaine. And I liked doing cocaine because I could do a little bump in the bathroom off of a key and then, just get out there and get my money and get, wait tables, and it was great. However, I'm spilling my Red Bull. I like my sleep, So that's one thing I didn't like about cocaine was I'd do it, and then I needed more and more and more, and then before you know it, you have a bloody nose by the end of the night, and you can't go to sleep, and you're tweaked out of your mind, and I was never into that kind of upper lifestyle, you know what I mean? I've only done meth maybe a handful of times, and whenever I say a handful, like 2, I hated it. Oh, God bless, I hated it. Oh, it was disgusting. It smelled like, it smelled like smoking chemicals and medicine mixed in one. It was so gross. It was so gross. Blech. Hate the taste. Blech. And how people would snort that. Oh my God. No. Anyways, well, then I had moved on from Don Pablo's to Red Lobster, and then I was introduced to a lot more drugs because you have a bigger waiting staff, which means more parties, which means more drugs. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Waiting, but that's exactly how it is in real life. I swear to you guys, it's like no joke. The hostess is boning everybody. Bartender's usually the drug dealer. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I had a bartender that I worked with for years. He was a drug dealer, and he had the sweetest girlfriend. I'm not going to call him out because they're doing great. I think he's clean and sober, and they have a kid and stuff. But he dealt drugs, and she had no idea. She never had a freaking clue. And his girlfriend, who now is his wife, I mean, it was crazy because she was the sweetest person ever, and he never told her, and she never knew. So crazy. Whenever we found out, we'll give him a name. Let's say his name is Brandon. And, like, let's give her a name as Christy. Whenever Brandon would be all screwed up, like, messed up on his drugs that he would deal, Christy would come and give him a kiss, and Brandon would just be like, all messed up. And I don't know if she just thought he was drunk all the time or what, but she never knew. I mean, she probably knows now, but God, those were wild times. Anyways, I'm jumping ahead of my story here. So I partied with a really good friend of mine, and I won't say his name, but he is, I love him to death. Man, I wish I could say his name. I can't. Because I saw him, I say recently, it's been a couple of years ago, and I was literally going to, like, a Chinese buffet with my mom, and I think he was leaving or something, and we've only been besties. We've never messed around, none of that stuff. He is a very handsome man to me, very handsome man, but we've always been like BFFs, you know what I mean? He's not my type, I'm not his. But God, man, we used to do a lot of drugs together. But I saw him one day whenever me and my mom was walking into this buffet place, and he had his girlfriend with him, or who, I don't know what she was, but I said, hey, what's going on, blah, 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 and I kind of waved at him, and then, like, walked up and gave him a side hug, and I was like, dude, it's so good to see you, because, like, honestly, I thought something bad had happened to him, because he used to party, like, really hard, and, man, he just gave me this look, like, like he can't talk right now. And then I looked over and realized that he was with this girl, and you guys, I thought she wanted to eat me. She looked so pissed off. I mean, she was just like, and then I don't know what happened, but I was like, all right, well, good to see you. And that was the end of that. But I used to do a lot of drugs with this guy. Let's just say his name is Jason. And me and Jason, I mean, that's not his name, but me and Jason used to drive all over North Oklahoma City, going to meet up with these sketchy ass people, like just Sketchville people, to get drugs. And it was crazy. The things that we did, I mean, so let's move on. So I wasn't making very much money at Red Lobster, like as much as I wanted to. Plus, I was coming in and I was like hungover on drugs. Didn't want to work the day shift. I don't know why they had me on the day shift. I think probably because I requested to be on the day shift, but it never worked out for me because I was always hungover and pissed off that I had to be there at like 10:30 in the morning because I was hungover. I didn't want to be there, So, true story. I had a friend of mine. Wait, what's happening? I had a friend of mine come in one night, and she pulls out all these ones out of her wallet. And I said, holy shit, where did you get that? And she said, real story, she said, I went and stripped last night. And I said, no, you didn't. And she said, yes, I did. And I said, you made all that from taking your clothes off? And she goes, yeah. And I said, you're kidding me. She goes, no, and I'm going to do it again tonight. And I was like, you're crazy. I used to be a little bit thicker back in the day. Even thicker than I am now. I just turned, I think I was 8. just had turned 18. And I was still going to night school. And I said, I need money. And she was like, you should come do it with me. And I was like, dude, I could never do that. And then it was just like my need for money kind of had overridden my fear of taking my clothes off. And I'm sitting here going, it's just clothes, who cares? And so she talked me into going. And the messed up part was, whenever I showed up, she said, well, we got to go in the daytime. And I said, okay. And she goes, because you have to, get hired on. And I was like, okay. And so I showed up, and this really nice guy, and I will say his name was Dean, and he was the manager, and he said, well, what do you want? And I said, well, I want a job. And he said, are you 18? And I said, yeah. And he goes, stand up. And I stood up, and he looked at me, and he goes, well, you need a little bit of work, but I think there's a turtle in the road. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, let me turn this down. There was a turtle on the side of the road. And here's the thing. Real quick before I get off subject here, because I already forgot what the hell I was talking about. Oh, the club, that's right. When you're moving a turtle, just move him across the road of whichever direction he's headed in. I think that was an alligator snapping turtle. I wasn't for sure. But he had that pointy nose. And I was not trying to get bit, so I had to put some gloves on. Girl, move him. Move him. Anyways, okay. So, woo! Girl. I thought that was a spider on me. Oh my God. I try to do some friggin' wildlife saving, and this is the type of shit that happens. Okay. Jesus. Back to the story. Fuck. Okay, so I went to the club. I got the job. He said, you need a little bit of help. You're a little bit thick, but I think we can work with you. And I was like, okay, sweet. So this is really sad to say, but the guy that I was dating at the time was kind of a jerk. And so, who really liked to control every aspect of my life. And I was just not a very strong-minded person at the time. And so I just put up with it, but plot twist, I'm going to tell you guys something. So I went to work, and he never really would ask me, where are you going? I just kind of went and did my own thing, And then I would come back and be like, whatever. So, and he was a full-blown alcoholic, and he just had problems. But he was a good person. I think that he just had issues. Anyways, okay, so I started working, and then I started toning up, and then I started losing weight, and I really started toning up. And I remember my first night that I didn't know what to wear, and my friend was like, well, just go buy a bra and panty set. And I'm sitting here going okay. And so I did. And I think I wore my snow boots. I can't even remember. So I got in really good shape, and my boyfriend at the time started noticing, hey, she's gone until 3 a.m., a lot, because I would get off at 2, and then I would usually go eat breakfast or something, and then I would come home. And like I said, he was a full-blown alcoholic who had a daytime job, and so he would already be in bed. And so I'll never forget that we had just done a bunch of, that white girl stuff I was telling you about. And I started to get ready for work, and he said, well, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm just getting ready. And it was 8 o'clock at night, or maybe it was 7. And he goes, for what? And I said, oh, I'm go-go dancing. Girl, it's not fucking go-go dancing. And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, I'm go-go dancing at this club. And I couldn't even think of the name of the club. And he says, oh, shit. And he says, well, I don't want you to go. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go. And then he goes, no, you're not going to go. Long story short, we ended up getting into a physical altercation. And it was the first time that had ever happened. And needless to say, long story short, he took my car keys and literally threw me outside in nothing but a bra and panties. And I don't know how, but I had my phone. I ended up calling my best friend, that guy that I can't remember what I gave him a fake name as, but I called him and I told him that I needed help, and then that guy pulled a gun out and said he was going to shoot everybody, and anybody who shows up here to help me, he's going to kill them too. And so I just got scared, and I called my friend back and told him, don't come over here. My boyfriend at the time has a gun, and he's a psychopath, and he's going to kill me and everybody else. And my best friend, he was like, no, screw that. Like, I'm not leaving you over there. And I said, listen, like, I'm going to take care of this tomorrow. Just tomorrow I need your help. And so we did. And I tricked him, and I said, look, I'm not going to work tonight. We're going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like, I won't go back. Little did he know, I had been saving up money. Mama rented a U-Haul the next day as soon as he left for work. And he came home, my ass was gone. Shit. Never saw him ever, never went back to him ever again. Point blank friggin' period, okay? When I went on and did my own thing, I went on and did my own thing. You feel me? You can't stick around in abusive relationships at all. Point blank period. It happened between me and him, one good time, and the next day I was gone. Gone. See ya. Had my own place, and he called me up and was like, where the hell are you? I said, don't effing worry about it. You won't see my ass ever again. So I moved out, did my own thing, kept doing a bunch of drugs, kept getting, super messed up, because at this point, I didn't have anybody to tell me not to, you know what I mean? And so I was getting messed up, partying a hell of a lot, sometimes not even coming home. I started dating this one guy who turns out, I don't know, I think he's crazy to this day. I still think he's a psychopath. He had some connections in a different country with drugs, and I got hooked up with him, and the party was on and popping. Like, I went downhill quick. I think that was like the start of my downhill, because I had an unlimited supply of drugs that I could just do. You know what I mean? Like, he had a plug from a different country with a lot of what I wanted, and could get as many as I wanted for like dirt cheap. So yeah, it was crazy. I was giving them away for free at times. I mean, it was nuts. So I left the first club that I was working at, and I moved on to a good friend of mine said, oh, you should come work at Night Trips. And I was like, what? I'm not working there, because it just really scared me, because that's like this elite club that like all these very beautiful women work at, and like very rich men come into. And I was like, I'm not working there, Well, I put up with the club that I was working at, which wasn't a really good club, for like, I don't know, 6 more months or something. And I ended up going over there, and I ended up falling in love with Night Trips, and I worked there for like 3 or 4 years. And I did a lot of drugs there too. It was a lot. But I ended up getting into a fight with a customer because they don't serve alcohol or liquor at this club that I'm talking about. It's strictly just a beer joint, because they have dancers that are under 18, or that are 18. They're under 21. And so I was working there. The customer I got into a physical fight with was taking shots of liquor out in her car and coming back inside. Well, it was time for her to get up for showtime, which is like this happy birthday thing. If you've never been to a titty bar, it's like way overrated. It's really expensive. Oh shit. Highway patrol, and I'm doing 85. Nice. So it was like a Saturday, and it was friggin' packed, and her brother had paid for her to get up on the showtime, and she, like I said, was completely blitzed, and I don't know what she thought was happening, but she told me to get off of her, and I was like, look, I don't want to be on you either, like, no girl. I said, just give me a second, because she was my very first person to start on, you know, because you get up on the stage and sit in a chair, and you basically get a lap dance from everybody, but it's only for like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 seconds. Anyway, so she's like, get off me. And I was like, girl, listen, you know, I don't want to be on you any more than you do, yada, yada, yada. And she just wasn't having it. And anyway, as soon as the song started, she got pissed and goes, get off me, and ends up pushing me. And when she pushes me, I like stumble backwards, because you have to remember I'm in like 8.5-inch tall high heels. And I knew I was going to get one hit on her. And I came in and just swung with everything I had. And the damn fight was on. We both hit the ground, because when you're standing up that tall, it's like fighting in stilts. It's just not, I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to work very good. So, yeah, huge fight breaks out. There was like 19 other people on stage that was getting a showtime, and there was 2 girls to each person. So there's literally 60 people on stage. Okay? And then a fight breaks out. All these girls start running, and they're like, oh my God, get me off this stage. And they're screaming, and me and this girl are right there in the middle just throwing it down. Oh, Mr. Bird. We're throwing down. Her brother gets pissed off and climbs up this railing, and like literally her brother was a very big man. I'm talking like he was a full grown man, like 450 pounds. Literally climbs up on this railing and like dives out like, whoa, like on top of all these dancers. People got hurt, girls got hurt. Girls were jumping off the stage. People were jumping off the stage. I mean, they were just trying to get away. And in the middle of this is me and this damn girl fighting over what? Because you're drunk and you're mad and you don't want to be on Showtime. Well, whose fault is that, girl? I didn't make you get up here, dummy. Anyways, so I got fired from there for getting into a fight. Oh, my phone's about to die. Or not die, but my video's going to stop. I'll tell you guys this last part. I had to move on to another club, and I knew that there were no other good clubs, and there was one being built, but it wasn't ready yet, so I had to go to like a really kind of crappy club, and I mean, no shade, it actually burned to the ground. It was so bad. And I'm gonna have to tell you guys more about it, but I guess I'll save it for the next video. But man, there's so many good stories I could tell you guys. Stay tuned for part 2 of this, of all the clubs that I worked in. There's a boat, literally, it's probably like a $70,000 boat, just chilling on the side of the road. Love that. Yeah, stay tuned. I think I'm going to make a part 2 to this. So yeah. Anyways, I love you guys so much, and I hope that you're having a phenomenal day. Hang in there. I know it's Monday, and we're working on it, so leave a like, leave a comment. I don't know, subscribe if you feel like it. I think we got like 19 people, so hey. Well, I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Stay tuned for part 2.